Hi, my name is Christina Ortiz Shell, and my PowerPoint and research is on common misbehavior problems and possible solutions to these common misbehaviors. So the agenda. So this presentation examines common surface level behaviors in the classroom. We will explore the causes of these behaviors, how they impact learning, and practical solutions to these behaviors. By integrating nonverbal and verbal strategies, proactive approaches, and research-backed practices, we aim to create a learning space that is both structured and supportive. This is not just about discipline, it's about teaching life skills students can carry beyond the classroom. So, introduction and purpose. So, behavior management is fundamental in classrooms where students may face unique social, emotional, and behavior challenges. I see this a lot in my classroom. I teach ninth and 10th grade emotional support, and a lot of my students deal with social, emotional behavior challenges, um, not just in the classroom, but at home as well. So, a safe, predictable environment to help students regulate emotions and engage academically. So, the purpose of this PowerPoint and research is to equip students with tools to manage common misbehaviors effectively while also building strong relationships. So, what we will cover common surface misbehaviors, effective nonverbal and verbal intervention, proactive prevention strategies. So, effective nonverbal, let me go back to effective nonverbal and verbal strategies. So, we will talk about nonverbal ways on how you can deal with these behaviors and also verbal ways on how you can deal with these behaviors. And then proactive prevention strategies, how might be able to prevent this from happening, these behaviors, and grounding these strategies in real world classroom practice. So, an outcome is an actionable framework that blends structure, empathy, and consistency. That's what we're hoping for. Okay, so defining surface misbehavior. So misbehaviors are disruptive but manageable behaviors that are visible and immediate. So they are not, we can handle these. Like they're not something that's too extreme where we can't handle these. So they include talking out of turn, refusing to do work, wandering, chatting during sessions, and occasional disrespect. They differ from chronic misbehaviors, which chronic misbehaviors are repeated patterns requiring intensive and long-term interventions. That's what I'm saying. This is manageable behaviors that we can manage. Identifying surface misbehaviors quickly allows teacher to intervene early, preventing escalation. So if we're able to um, identify these behaviors early, we can intervene and prevent it going further. Why they happen. So why do these surface misbehaviors happen? So students may struggle with emotional regulation due to ADHD, trauma history, or other emotional slash behavior diagnosis. When these kids come to the classroom, we don't know these sometimes. We don't know everything until we get to build those relationships with these students and really start to learn this. Attention-seeking behavior can be driven by a desire for peer recognition or teacher validation. Academic avoidance often stems from frustration, confusion, or fear of failure. Low self-esteem can manifest as defensive or oppositional behavior. Environmental factors such as noise, peer conflict, or sudden schedule change can trigger misbehavior. Understanding the why is crucial for choosing the right intervention. And I'm going to say this a lot in when I'm talking. Understanding why the student is doing what they're doing will help us understand what intervention for teachers we would go and what approach we would do to stop these behaviors. Okay, so these are just the common misbehaviors. So number one, talking out of terms. So why? Why is it happening? So impulse control challenges, excitement about the topic, or desire to be heard. Any of these could be, we need to figure out why. So the impact, it interrupts instruction, distracts peers, reducing lesson flow. Trust me, I've dealt with this a lot. So some nonverbal ways we can deal with this behavior. Move closer to the student. Make eye contact, small head shake, like tap on the desk. Be like, just tap on it so no one else notices it. Some verbal, calm, neutral redirection. You can say, let's hear from Maria now. Are acknowledged followed by a delay. Good thought, hold it on for later. That way it's not disrupting the flow of your class and you can still keep on teaching. So follow up. Sometimes you don't want to follow up right away. So you want to recognize and praise moments when the student waits their turn and establish structured sharing time. So let's say the student we're teaching the student how to not talk out. When they do raise their hand, you want to acknowledge that for them. If it's not right and then, maybe pull them aside after class and acknowledge them. So example we can use using a talking stick during discussion to manage turn talking. This can help at the elementary level, really. If you're using a talking stick, whoever has that stick's the only one to talk. That gets the students knowing who's allowed to talk and when they're allowed to talk. So research that I found for this one was through pbis.org, and they said that combining nonverbal cues with positive reinforcements reduces disruptions significantly. So, common misbehavior number two, refusal to work. So, why these students might be doing this? The task feels overwhelming. They have a fear of failure, lack of motivation, or they just have testing limits. So, the impact, it can be missed learning activities, potential influence on peer engagement. So, some nonverbal ways we can deal with this behavior: place work nearby, stand quietly without confrontation, offer supportive presence. Verbal ways we can do this, we can provide choices, and I do this a lot. So do you want to start with number one or number two? Or you can break it into smaller steps. Acknowledge even small efforts. So let's say we're breaking it down and they do one part of the question right. You would say, "That's a great job. Thank you for doing that. Can we try to do this?" Um, Follow up. So offer positive feedback for completed parts, gradually increase expectations. So maybe you just start off with, "Okay, let's do the first two questions. They did that. Thank you for that." Even though you wanted them to do 10, they did two. Thank you. That's still something we will gradually increase as we go on. So research. Task modification and choice making increases participation rates in special education settings. So having them make the choice. You're still doing the work, but you're choosing, which one you want to do and modifying the task to make it easier for them. Common misbehavior number three, off-task movement. So why does this happen? Sensory needs, boredom, desire to socialize, or even avoidance. The impact, it disrupts focus for the student and peers and delays task completion. So some nonverbal ways we can deal with this: adjust seating, position staff strategically, use proximity to guide student back. So for me, an example, if I had a student who did this, I would place my IA or para kind of near that student so they could just come over and work directly with that student. Some verbal ways: gentle, specific redirection. Let's finish this before walking around. Avoid public corrections. So, follow up. Offer planned movement breaks to meet sensory needs. So, we can plan those movement breaks. You do this, then we can take a break and have that movement break if needed. So an example, incorporate walk and talk review activities so movement is built into learning. So if you know you have a couple students who like to walk around, maybe you build that into your lesson plan where we're walking and talking, we're going to different stations. So research, scheduled movement opportunities improve focus and decrease off-task behaviors. Common misbehavior number four, disrespectful comments. And we see this a lot at the high school. So why? Why do these students do this? Emotional triggers, conflict with peers, need to save face, stress or frustration. So the impact, it damages relationships, sets a negative tone, and can escalate if unaddressed. Nonverbal, neutral facial expression. So you don't want to be laughing at these comments. Maintain composure, avoid reactive gestures. So verbal, use rhetorical questions. What happened from your perspective? Reframe the language positively and address privately. So you're gonna don't use the same language as they said. Reframe it in a more positive way and address it privately. Follow up. Rebuild trust through one-on-one conversations. Set expectations for respectful communication. So, an example, a student says, "This is stupid." Respond by asking, "What part is challenging you right now?" to refocus. So, research that aligned with this. Restorative practices lead to reductions in repeated disrespectful incidents. Okay, so nonverbal strategies overview. I was talking about the nonverbal and verbal. So proximity control um, to signal attention and expectations. Eye contact to communicate awareness and connection. Gestures are visual cues like hand signals to redirect without verbal interruption. Strategic seating arrangements to limit distractions. Calm, steady body language to model regulation and reduce tension. Example, standing at the edge of a group to quiet side conversation. So you see these two students talking, you just slowly stand there and you can see them stop talking. Okay, verbal overview, positive framing. So focus on what to do rather than what not to do. Offer limited choices to give a sense of control while maintaining structure. So only offer two choices instead of four or five. Restorative questions to prompt self-reflection and accountability when you're asking those questions. Prompt it so they're thinking about what they could do better and how they can take accountability. Specific praise. Target the exact behavior you want to see repeated. Consistent, calm tone to avoid escalation. Example, I appreciate you starting right away instead of a general good job. So if you see this person he was always off task before, would always lily-gag to get his work done, you don't just go over and say good job. You appreciate, say thank you for starting your work right away. So they know exactly what they did right. Okay, proactive prevention strategy. So how can we potentially prevent these? So a daily emotional check-ins to gauge and address needs early on. So maybe if you see in this picture, every day when students come in, they put a sticky note on how they're feeling. If you have a student that's feeling struggling, maybe you pull them aside privately and ask them why. And that way we know early on that maybe they're in a bad mood or maybe we shouldn't push them too much. Clear expectation posted visibly and reinforced regularly. So, and the picture, the classroom expectations, you can see I respect the class environment. Help your classmates learn and be responsible. In my class room, we have all of our expectations every single day. We go through it. We have our skill cards that direct basically to directly to our expectations. We're going to be safe. We're going to be responsible. We're going to be respectful. Um, Yeah, but all of those, and then each thing has it. So, like respectful, if on my skill card on the respectful, it tells you exactly what you need to be respectful. Let's say a student is being disrespectful with their comments, they know that they're going to lose points on their skill card for that direct classroom day, and then they won't be able to get as much points to cash out at the end of the day. Engaging lesson plans with minimal downtime to prevent boredom. Relationship building moments like greeting students at the door. Collaboration with support staff to ensure consistent messaging. So, example, using a morning mood meter to identify who may need extra support before class starts. That's what I was talking about at the check-in. Or even if you're standing at the door talking, greeting the students, and you can kind of gauge where they are before they enter the classroom. All right, so this is just step by step scenarios that we would have to deal with and how ways you can do it. So, contact after lunch, J refuses to begin independent writing, head down sign. Early signs, the early signs that we notice, pencil tapping, short responses to check-in. So when he's checking in at the door, the teacher's like, "How are you doing?" He's like frustrated. So what we can do step by step. Proximity and prime, nonverbal. We would place a graphic organizer and preferred pen on the desk silently. Number two, offer choices verbally. Want to start with one sentence or try voice to text. Number three, chunk the task. 2 minutes start, 2 minutes you start, quick check, short break, start a quiet timer. Model and scaffold. Write a sentence starter on a board to help the student. Point to it without calling attention. So maybe it's not just one student, or maybe you know it's like one student that's maybe you just put a certain sentence on the board for everyone to see and then you just point to it. Reinforce effort. Nice topic sentence. Keep that momentum. Repair and plan. Quick one-on-one after class to reflect, log supports, and share with parent/case manager. So, research from this that I found prevention next time. Prime before writing. Provide sentence frames, set up success cue at entry. And that was from PBIS. Scenario two, calling out in class. So context. So during a science demo, Kay blurts jokes and answers without raising hand. Early signs, we notice her bouncing her knee. She's having side comments to the peers. So non-verbally, we can stand within arm's length, use the agreed hand signal. So maybe you and your class already came up with a hand signal before. Um, Provide outline. So you slip a sticky note so no one sees it. Hold it, hold it to share during think pair share. So maybe we're already going to talk about that during think pair share where you think about it, you pair up with each other and then you share. So that's just giving her that reminder. Provide a private reminder, verbal whisper, one voice at a time. Yours is next. 4, role to channel energy. Assign Kate as a demo scribe or equipment manager. Like let's say you have classroom roles, that's something you can do. Number 5, reinforce waiting. Praise the exact moment Kate waits and contributes appropriately. And then 6, debrief routine. Quick check after class, review expectations, and support that helped. Again, some research was prevention next time, explicit discussion, norms, job assignment, self-monitor card. They all directly to calling out in class. This has helped. So PBIS 2020. And then scenario 3, walking out, or what we like to call eloping. So mid-quiz, T crumbles paper and exits the room upset. Safety first. Para supervises class while you monitor the hallway from a safe distance. So for me, we call them IAs in my classroom. So the IA, I would look at the IA and be like, "Can you please supervise the class?" While I go monitor the hallway and make sure the student's okay from a safe distance. Number 1. So space and co-regulation. Maintain 6 feet, 6 to 8 feet. You want to give that student their distance. Calm posture. Offer a water/break card. You don't want to redirect them in that moment. They're already upset. You don't like, hey, you shouldn't have walked out of class. Number 2, time in, not time out. Wait 30 to 60 seconds. Avoid lectures during peak emotion. That's what I was talking about. You don't want to lecture them right away during that upset time. You want to let them come back down. Number 3, validate and choice. Looks tough. One hallway break or reset table. So in my class, we have a calm corner. We also have frustration passes. So I'd be like, do you need a frustration pass or do you want to go to the calm corner? To give them that time. Restore, brief conference. What happened? Who was affected? What repair is needed? So, again, this is not when they're at their peak time and they're upset and frustrated. Number 6, re-entry routine. Return with clear next step, praise recovery efforts. So, research from this is prevention next time, pre-brief on assessments. So, we tell them beforehand, alternate setting. Maybe they want to take a test somewhere else. Agreed break plan. Maybe you come up with a student and be like, okay, let's think about breaks during tests. How can we deal with this? Scenario 4, peer conflict. So, context. Group project disagreement escalates to insults between M and R. So, number 1, pause and reset. Use class phrase. Move closer, separate students by a few feet. We want to separate those students if we see it. Name the feeling. I'm hearing frustration. We'll fix this. Number 3, 2-minute restorative script. Each speak for 30 seconds, partner paraphrases, teacher summarizes. 4, problem solve. Agree on roles, timeline, and one support each will use. Public repair brief. Thanks for resetting. Back to roles we agreed on. Reinforce. Acknowledge respectful language and on-task collaboration. So prevention next time. Pre-assign roles before this even happens when we're doing group work. Teach sentence starters. Practice agree/disagree steps. Scenario 5, frustration during group work. So context. A paces and mutters when peers ignore their idea during history jigsaw. Nonverbal reset. Place a reset card on the desk. Model slow breathing with hand cues. Offer regulated break 3 minutes at the reset table with a timer and sensory tool. Coping. Quick box breathing or count back exercise. Validate their feelings. Number 4, re-entry. Return with a clear role. You're going to be a timekeeper or a summarizer. Match that to your student's strength. Whoever has that strength, match it. Give them that role. If escalation continues, staff swap for co-regulation, reduce audience, simplify demand. Reinforce recovery. Acknowledge calm body/voice. Capture success for next time. So, pre-teach group roles, like we talked about before. Pre-teach what each one is going to do in their groups. Movement breaks. If they need them break, they can have that. Explicit collaboration norms. Talk about those norms beforehand. Okay, so research highlights. So this is what I found in research that it's really that stood out. So PBIS emphasizes proactive, positive approaches over punitive measures. Nonverbal interventions are effective in preventing 70 to 80% of disruptions. Strong teacher-student relationship result in improved academic and behavioral outcomes. SEL programs are linked to reductions in disciplinary referrals and increases in student engagement. So an example. Schools implementing SEL saw measurable gains in both academic scores and social skills. So these schools that are implementing SEL, social emotional learning, they are seeing those gains in both academic and social skills. Conclusion. So, surface behaviors are common but manageable with the right approach. A balanced strategy blends proactive systems, calm interventions, and strong relationships. Every misbehavior is a chance to teach social emotional skills and resilience. Consistency, empathy, and patience create a safe environment for growth. Closing thought. Classroom management is as much about relationship as it is about rules. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about my classroom, grounded in my classroom. So I maintain a calm corner and break passes not just for a space for self-regulation, but as a signal to students that they have control over their emotional reset. I do so early in the year as a safe, non-punitive space, and I celebrate when students choose it before things escalate. I start each day by personally greeting each student at the door, making eye contact and asking a question that invites more than fine. This small ritual helps me gauge their emotional state and gives them a safe opening to express concerns. Rather than a discrete signal system alone, I embed these cues into an ongoing relationship. When a student quietly signals for a break or help, I respond in the way that acknowledges their trust in me and preserves their dignity in front of peers because every respectful response builds our bond. Humor isn't just a tool, it's a part of our shared language. So, in my classroom, I'm always using humor. My students love it. My students use humor with me as well. So, I tell stories about my own learning struggles. So, I tell them how when I was in school, I had struggles too. And sometimes it might be funny. They might laugh at me. Not to lower expectations, but to show that mistakes are a natural part of growth. These moments often spark laughter and connection, turning tense moments into opportunities for trust. So for me, when I lived in Philadelphia, I always tell the story to my students. I lived in Philadelphia. When I moved out of Philadelphia into other school districts, I was below grade level in reading and writing. They had to pull me out of classes for intervention, but I had that motivation. I was in a year in intervention classes, and then I got above grade level. And my students are like, "But you're a teacher now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So my ultimate goal is that students leave my room knowing how to manage their emotions and navigate relationships with empathy. Watching a student pause, breathe, and choose words carefully instead of reacting impulsively is the clearest sign that our work is making a difference. So this is just my annotated bibliography. I will add it to the PowerPoint if anyone wants to see it. This is just where I got all of my information from. I think there's like 3 pages. Yeah, it's pretty long. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for listening.